Hello everyone, this is Pranshi Verma. Welcome to the session Official Google Cloud Data Engineer Exam Assessment Test 2021. In today's session, we will cover Chapter 2 Building and Operationalizing Storage Systems question and answer. Let's begin the session. First question is, a database administrator DBA who is new to Google Cloud has asked for your help configuring network access to a Cloud SQL PostgreSQL database. The DBA wants to ensure that traffic is encrypted while minimizing administrative tasks such as managing SQL certificates. What would you recommend in this case? Option A, use the TLS protocol. Option B, use Cloud SQL proxy. Option C, use a private IP address, and option D, configure the database instance to use auto encryption. Okay, so in this case, correct answer is option B, use Cloud SQL proxy, because Cloud SQL proxy provides secure access to second generation instances without you having to create allow list or configure SSL. Okay, and the proxy manages authentication and automatically encrypted data. Okay, if we choose option A, use the TLS protocol, so it's incorrect because TLS is the successor of SSL. Okay, it can be used to encrypt traffic, but it would require the DBA to manage certificates. So it's not as good an answer as option B, use Cloud SQL proxy. Okay, if we choose option C, use a private IP address, so it's also incorrect because using an IP address doesn't ensure encryption of data. Okay, and option D, configure the database instance to use auto encryption, is incorrect because there is no such thing as an auto encryption feature in Cloud SQL. Okay, so in this way, correct answer is option B, use Cloud SQL proxy. Next question, you created a Cloud SQL database that uses replication to improve read performance. Occasionally, the read replica will be unavailable. You haven't noticed a pattern, but the disruptions occur once or twice a month. No database administrator operations are occurring when the incident occurs. What might be the cause of this issue? Option A, B, C, D are given here. Option A, the read replica is being promoted to a standalone Cloud SQL instance. Option B, maintenance is occurring on the read replica. Option C, a backup is being performed on the read replica. And option D, the primary Cloud SQL instance is falling over to the read replica. Here, correct answer is option B, maintenance is occurring on the read replica, because maintenance on read replicas is not restricted to the maintenance window of the primary instance or to other windows. Okay, so it can occur anytime. That would make the read replica unavailable. Okay, and if we are talking about option A, the read replica is being promoted to a standalone Cloud SQL instance, so it's incorrect because a database administrator would have to promote a read replica, and the problem is stated that there is no pattern detected and database administrators were not performing database operations. Okay, if we are talking about option C, a backup is being performed on the read replica, is also incorrect because backups are not performed on read replicas. Okay, and if we are choosing option D, the primary Cloud SQL instance is falling over to the read replica, it's also incorrect because Cloud SQL instances do not fail over a read replica. Okay, so in this question, best answer is option B, maintenance is occurring on the read replica. Okay. Next question, your department is experimenting with using Cloud Spanner for a globally accessible database. You are starting with a pilot project using a regional instance. You would like to follow Google's recommendations for the maximum sustained CPU utilization of a regional instance. What is the maximum CPU utilization that you would target? Option A, B, C, D are given here in percentage, and suitable answer is option C, 65%. Because if we are talking about option A, 50% and option C, 75%, they both are not recommended labels for any Cloud Spanner configuration. Okay, and if we are talking about option D, 45%, so is the recommended CPU utilization for a multi-regional cloud spanner instance. Okay, so suitable answer here is option B, 65% in this case. Okay, next question. A cloud spanner database is being deployed in US West 1 and will have to store up to 20 terabyte of data. What is the minimum number of nodes required? Option A, B, C, D are given here, and option A is correct, 10 nodes. Okay, because since each node can store 2 terabyte, it will require at least 10 nodes. Okay, option B 20 and option C 5, they both are incorrect because they are more nodes than needed. Okay, if we are talking about option C 5, it's also incorrect because 5 is not sufficient for storing 20 terabyte of data. Okay, so best one is option A, 10 nodes. Next question. A software as a service company specializing in automobile IoT sensors collects streaming time series data from tens to thousands of vehicles. The vehicles are owned and operated by 40 different companies who are the primary customers of the software as a service company. The data will be stored in Bigtable using a multi-tenant database, that is, all customer data will be stored in the same database. The data sent from the IoT device includes a sensor ID, which is globally unique, a timestamp, and several matrices about engine efficiency. Each customer will carry their own data only. Now, which of the following would you use a row key? Option A, B, C, D are given here. And correct answer is option B, customer ID, sensor ID, and timestamp respectively. Okay, just analyze the question, then choose correct answer. Okay, so option B, customer ID, sensor ID, and timestamp is suitable answer in this question because the database is multi-tenant. So each tenant or customer will query only its own data. So all the data should be in close proximity. Using customer ID first accomplishes this. Next, sensor ID is globally unique. So data would be distributed evenly across database storage segments when storing based on sensor ID. Since this is time series data, virtually all data arriving at the same time will have timestamps around the same time. Using a timestamp early in the key cloud create hotspots, and using sensor ID fast would avoid hotspots but would require more scans to retrieve customer data because multiple customers data would be stored in each data block. Okay, so customer ID, second one sensor ID, and third one timestamp. This is best answer for this question. Okay, next question. A team of game developers is using Cloud Firestore to store player data including character description, character state, and positions. Description are up to a 60 character alphanumeric string that is set when the character is created and not updated. Character state includes health score, active time, and passive time. When they are updated, they are all updated at the same time. Positions are updated whenever the character acquires or loses a positions. Positions may be complex objects such as bags or bags of items, where each item may be a simple object or another complex object. Simple objects are described with a character string. Complex objects have multiple properties, and how would you model player data in Cloud Firestore? According to this question, I know it's very lengthy question, but guys, it's frequently asked question. Okay, and option A, B, C, D are given here. So according to these options, correct answer is option D. Store description as a string, character state as an entity with properties for health score, active time and passive time, and positions as an entity that may have embedded entities. Because description can be represented in a string, health consists of three properties that are accessed together, so they can be grouped into an entity. If we are talking about positions, positions need a recursive representation since a positions can include set of other positions. Okay. If we are talking about option A and option B, option A is store description and character state as a string and positions as entities, and option B is store description, character state, and positions as a string. They both are incorrect. Because character states require multiple properties and so it should not be represented in a single string. Okay, and option B, store description, character state and positions as a string is also incorrect because positions are complex objects and should not be represented in a strings. Okay, and if you're talking about option C, store description, character state and positions as entities, so it's also incorrect because description is an atomic property and doesn't need to be modeled as an entity. Okay, so best answer for this question is option D, store description as a string, character state as an entity with properties for health score, activity time and passive time, and positions as an entity that may have embedded entities. Okay, option D is correct and this is frequently asked question. Next question, you are querying a Cloud Firestore collection of order entities searching for all orders that were created today and have a total sales amount of greater than $100. You have not excluded any indexes and you have not created any additional indexes using index.byaml. What do you expect the result to be? Option A, B, C, D are given here. Option A, the set of all orders created today with a total sales amount greater than $100. Option B, a set of orders created today and any total sales amount. Option C, a set of with total sales amount greater than $100 and any sales date. And option D, no entity is returned. In this question, correct answer is option D, no entities are returned. Because the query requires a composite index, but the question stated that no additional indexes were created. All other answers are wrong because querying by property other than a key will only return entities found in an particular index. Okay, so here no entities are returned is correct answer. Next question, you are running a Redis cache using Cloud Memory Store. One day you receive an alert notification that the memory usage is exceeding 80%. You don't want to scale up the instance but you need to reduce the amount of memory used. What could you try? In this case, option A, setting shorter TTLs and trying a different eviction policy. Option B, switching from basic tier to standard tier. Option C, exporting the cache. And option D, there is no other option, you must scale the instance. In this case, correct answer is option A, setting shorter TTLs and trying a different eviction policy. Okay, eviction policy. Option B, switching from basic tier to standard tier. Option C, exporting the cache. And option D, there is no other option, you must scale the instance. In this case, correct answer is option A, setting shorter TTLs and trying a different eviction policy. Okay, because setting shorter TTLs will make key eligible for eviction sooner and a different eviction policy may lead to more evictions. For example, switching from an eviction policy that evicts only keys with a TTL to a policy that can evict any key may reduce memory use. Okay. Next question. A team of machine learning engineers are creating a repository of data for training and testing machine learning models. All of the engineers works in the same city and they all contribute data sets to the repository. The data files will be accessed frequently, usually at least once a week. The data scientists want to minimize their storage cost. The plan to use cloud storage. What storage class would you recommend? In this case, option A, regional. Option B, multi-regional. Option C, nearline. And option D, cold line. Correct answer is option A, regional. Because regional storage is sufficient for serving users in the same geographical location and cost less than multi-regional storage. Okay, if we are talking about option B, multi-regional, so it's incorrect in this case because it doesn't minimize cost and there is no need for multi-regional storage. Okay, If we are talking about option C, nearline, and option D, cold line, so they both are incorrect because nearline and cold line are less expensive only for infrequently accessed data. Okay, nearline and cold line, they both are not suitable in this case, and best answer is option A, regional. Okay. Next question. Auditors have informed you company CFO that to comply with a new regulation, your company will need to ensure that financial reporting data is kept for at least 3 years. The CFO asks for your advice on how to comply with the regulation with the least administrative overhead. What would you recommend in this case? Option A, store the data on cold line storage. Option B, store the data on multi-regional storage. Option C, define a data retention policy. Option D, define a life cycle policy. Here, correct answer is option C, define a data retention policy. Because a data retention policy will ensure that files are not deleted from a storage bucket until they reach a specified age. Okay. Option A, store the data on cold line storage, and option B, store the data on multi-regional storage. They both are incorrect in this case because files can be deleted from cold line or multi-regional data unless a data retention policy is in place. Okay. And if we are talking about option D, define a life cycle policy, it's also incorrect in this case because a life cycle policy will change the storage type on an object but not prevent it from being deleted. Okay. So best answer here is option C, define a data retention policy. Next question. As a database administrator tasked with migrating a MongoDB instance to Google Cloud, you are concerned about your ability to configure the database optimally. You want to collect matrices at both the instance level and the database server level. What would you do in addition to creating an instance and installing and configuring MongoDB to ensure that you can monitor key instances and database matrices? Option A, install Stackdriver logging agent. Option B, install Stackdriver monitoring agent. Option C, install Stackdriver debug agent, and option D, nothing. By default, the database instance will send matrices to Stackdriver. In this case, correct answer is option B, install Stackdriver monitoring agent. Because installing the Stackdriver monitoring agent, this will be collect application label matrices and send them to Stackdriver for alerting and charting. If we are talking about option A, install Stackdriver logging agent, is incorrect in this case because Stackdriver logging doesn't collect matrices, but you would install the Stackdriver logging agent if you also wanted to collect database logs. Okay. If we are talking about option C, install Stackdriver debug agent, is also incorrect in this case because Stackdriver debug is for analyzing a running program. Okay. And option D, nothing. By default, the database instance will send matrices to Stackdriver, is incorrect because you will get only instance matrices and audit logs. Okay. But in this question asked about monitoring part. Okay. So best answer is option B, install Stackdriver monitoring agent. Okay. Next question. A group of data scientists have uploaded multiple time series datasets to BigQuery over the last year. They have noticed that their queries, which select up to 6 columns, apply from SQL functions and group by the day of a timestamp, are taking longer to run and are incurring higher BigQuery cost as they add data. They do not understand why this is the case since they typically work only with the most recent set of data loaded. What would you recommend they consider in order to reduce query latency and query cost? Option A, sort the data by time order before loading. Option B, stop using legacy SQL and use standard SQL dialect. Option C, partition the table and use clustering. Option D, add more columns to the select statement to use data fetched by BigQuery more efficiently. Here, correct answer is option C, partition the table and use clustering. Why option C is correct? Because the queries are likely scanning more data than needed. Partitioning the table will enable BigQuery to scan only data within a particular partition, and clustering will improve the way column data is stored. Okay, in this way option C is correct. If we are talking about option A, sort the data by time order before loading, is incorrect because BigQuery organizes data according to table configuration parameters and there is no indication that queries need to order results. Okay. If we are talking about option B, stop using legacy SQL and use standard SQL dialect, is also incorrect because standard SQL dialect has more SQL features but none of those are used. Also, it's unlikely that the query execution plan would be more efficient with standard SQL. Okay, and if we are talking about option D, add more columns to the select statements to use data fetched by BigQuery more efficiently, is also incorrect because it would actually require more data to be scanned and fetched because BigQuery uses a columnar data storage model. Okay, so option D is also incorrect. And correct answer is option C, partition the table and use clustering. Okay. Next question, you are querying a BigQuery table that has been partitioned by time. You create a query and use the try run flag with the bqquery command. The amount of data scanned is far more than you expected. What is a possible causes of this? Option A, B, C, D are given here and correct answer is option A. You did not include underscore partition time in the where class to limit the amount of data that needs to be scanned. Why? Because you probably didn't include the pseudo column, for example underscore partition time in the where class to limit the amount of data scanned. Okay, if we are talking about option B, you used CSV instead of every file format when loading the data. So it's incorrect because the format of the file from which data is loaded doesn't affect the amount of data is scanned. Okay. If we are talking about option C, both active and long-term data are included in the query result, is incorrect because the destination between active and long-term data impacts only the cost of storage, not the execution of a query. Okay. So here best answer is option A. You didn't include underscore partition time in the where clause to limit the amount of data that needs to be scanned. Okay. Next question. Your department is planning to expand the use of BigQuery. The CFO has asked you to investigate whether the company should invest in flat rate billing for BigQuery. What tools and data would you use to help answer that question? Option A, Stackdriver logging and audit log data. Option B, Stackdriver logging and CPU utilization matrices. Option C, Stackdriver monitoring and CPU utilization matrices. And option D, Stackdriver monitoring and slot utilization matrices. Here correct answer is option D, Stackdriver monitoring and slot utilization matrices. Because Stackdriver monitoring collects matrices and the slot matrices are the ones that show resources utilization related to queries. Okay, if we are talking about option A and option B, they both are incorrect because loggings doesn't collect the matrices that are needed. And if we are talking about option C, Stackdriver monitoring and CPU utilization matrices, it's also incorrect because CPU utilization is not a metric associated with a serverless service like BigQuery. Okay, so best answer is option D, Stackdriver monitoring and slot utilization matrices. Okay, next question. You are migrating several terabytes of historical sensor data to Google Cloud Storage. The data is organized into files with one file per sensor per day. The files are named with the data followed by the sensor ID. After loading 10% of the data, you realize that the data loads are not proceeding as fast as expected. Okay, what might be the cause? Option A, the file naming convention uses dates as the first part of the file name. If the files are loaded in this order, they may be creating hotspots when writing the data to cloud storage. Option B, the data is in text instead of Abro or Parakeet format. Option C, you are using a gcloud command line utility instead of the REST API. And option D, the data is being written to regional instead of multi-regional storage. Correct answer is option A. The file naming convention uses dates as the first part of the file name. If the files are loaded in this order, they may be creating hotspot when writing the data to cloud storage. Okay, because since the files have sequential names, they may be loading in lexicographic order, and this can create hotspots. Okay, if we are talking about option B, the data is in text instead of Abro or Parakeet format, is incorrect in this case because the volume of data, not the format, will determine upload speed. Okay. If we are talking about option C, you are using a gcloud command line utility instead of the REST API, is incorrect because there should be no noticeable difference between the command line SDK and the REST APIs. Okay. If we are talking about option D, the data is being written to regional instead of multi-regional storage, is incorrect because writing to multi-regional storage would not make the uploads faster. Okay, best answer here is option A. Okay guys, now let's wind up the session. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching this video. If you like the video, please hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to my channel for more updates. And please share this video with your friends. Wish you very all the best for your examination. If you want any help in any subject, let me know in comment section. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.